I've been excited about this topic for a while, and I think it's something that, as two video game players and film people, we can kind of bring different stuff to the table, and I'm sure that we have different opinions on it. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I really am. So we're talking today about the transition from the video game medium into the film medium, and how maybe why, in my opinion, that hasn't necessarily worked, and maybe the best way to do that is now a web series, which I kind of think that you're definitely going to touch on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the transition for video games go from movies to TV and stuff like that, and like which one works best. And depending, like, sometimes it works, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and maybe that's because of the type of game it is, or maybe just the type of story it is as well too. But coincidentally, more often than not, I feel TV shows actually get a better, I would say, breakdown of a story for them to develop off of, depending on how they do it and stuff like that. Just because a video game, it's not over in an hour. It's not
right
like most movies. You get your middle, your beginning, middle, and end. You got your character story and stuff like that too.
3 acts. Yeah,
but with video game, it's like it's a lot more than that. You got like all those filler episodes and stuff like that in there, and your journey and everything like that as well. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Let's jump right in, man. What's your favorite video game rendition that turned into a movie or film?
Oh man, I don't have one. There isn't a good one in my opinion.
There isn't?
And again, it's important for the distinction to be made here, and we're going to be talking about video game transition to film and transition to like Netflix and Amazon and things like that, because that's, I think, where the big balance of the argument or the opinions are going to take place. Because for film, I mean, you nailed it. You've got 2 hours and 20 minutes max, maybe, to kind of keep people compelled in a theater environment where they're sitting on their ass for that long, and somebody's got to pee pretty soon. It's just, you have a window to tell your entire story on this breakdown of a video game. And even if you loosely take it from the source material, that game is probably 8 hours long, right? Because the Call of Duty campaigns, which we're both Call of Duty people, the campaigns they're basically filler for the multiplayer, and those campaigns are about 6 or 7 hours long. So imagine, even if you took a quarter of that, and again, the Call of Duty campaigns are they've gotten better, but they're not necessarily the best. Like when you can stack it up against Halo. I know you're a Halo guy too. Halo has a wonderful story. I think there's no way you could fit any rendition of any Halo game in a 2-hour window.
You know how many times they've tried to make a Halo actual movie, dude?
Dude, it's a great story, right? Like, do you remember? You would remember better than I would, because you're an Xbox dude. I'm a PlayStation guy. But Halo's story is layered and dynamic as any sci-fi action feature that I can think of. It's great, right? I mean, do you think they could ever make that into a movie? Like a 2 hour with a 2 hour and 20 minute window? Do you think they could do that?
I think they could.
You do?
I still think I still think they could. The first one was amazing. It's still, if you look at the video game and stuff like that, it definitely has a beginning, middle, and end, right?
Yeah.
And
it feels like a movie.
It does. When you first play the Halo first video game, I feel like it's very cinematic. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, very much so.
And I've been a huge Halo fan since I first got my hands on an Xbox controller. I haven't gone back to PlayStation. I first started off as a PlayStation player.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my first system was Sega, and then it was Super Nintendo, and then Mom and Dad are like, "Oh, they're getting addicted. Let's not buy them any more of this stuff." I didn't get an N64, dude. I had to go and I'm gonna go hang out at Matthew's house because he had GoldenEye, or he had Star Fox, And
Star Fox, perfect.
And then the next one that we got was a PlayStation 2, because we were really big into Lord of the Rings, and so was my mom, and they had Lord of the Rings games coming out at that time. And then finally we got the first Xbox. What was it? Xbox? Was it the 360, or was it just the first Xbox? I think it was the first Xbox.
It was just Xbox.
Yeah, it was the first Xbox that came out, and they got it for us for Christmas, and then we didn't get it until 6 months later because it was back ordered and stuff. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy. So did you get Halo when it first came out, or were you one of the guys that came into it later?
I didn't see my family was very against me playing video games, which sucked because I felt like it was a missed opportunity for me growing up, because I really liked going to tournaments. My first tournament was a Halo 3 tournament. But
shut up! That's fucking awesome, man. That's cool. I did not know that. This is great. I love this.
I was in Phoenix. I actually I was on Tyler Blevins' team, Ninja. Before before he became Ninja. I was there when he first came up with the name Ninja. It's like when when you ninja'd somebody in Halo is when you jumped over them and you meleeed them in the back of the head. It was called being ninja'd. So
Interesting.
Ninja wasn't his first gamer tag. But
Interesting.
yeah, no, Halo's great. I think they even turned it into like what a mini web series, Forward Unto Dawn,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know if that was official. I know that was it Forward Unto Dawn, which is great by the way. It's a wonderful series, and I think it's on Netflix. I know it was on YouTube. I think it might have been a YouTube
It
original.
was a
I
YouTube
think.
original. Somebody made it like you and me,
Okay.
and it was an independent thing. And then they got picked up, and because they first made the first episode, and while they were making
Okay.
the episodes, they were reaching out for people to
Like a
help
proof of
support.
concept.
Well, yeah, it was like they were trying to look for support as they were moving along. You know, a GoFund Forward Unto Dawn kind of thing.
Gotcha. Have you seen Forward Unto Dawn?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's great. It's
Yeah.
really good, and that would be, in my opinion, one of the best ways. And again, that was a series too. I don't think the episodes weren't half an hour long. They weren't an hour long. They were shorter. And then the only time they really kind of brought in, yes, it was in the Halo universe, but the only time we see the main characters, the guns, Master Chief, as that is in the last part of it. So they maintain that budget to put towards that. So you're right. I think they could do it well, but again, that was a series. Even if it was, a shorter series, it was still a series, and it wasn't following Master Chief or Cortana. It was following cadets getting
Right.
to try.
Well,
You know what I mean?
the first budget for the Halo movie went to was it District 12, when the first people that were trying to write for it, which I'm glad they didn't succeed, was D.B. Weiss and David Benioff. They were the first
That's
people
not
that
true.
yes, it
Is that
is.
true?
It's
Is
completely
it?
true.
Oh my God!
They were given the script for Halo, and they couldn't figure out how to make it, even though it was supposed to be a video game adaptation. And they went on to do Wolverine Origins. So there's that. What's up, Freya?
Interesting. I did not know that, bro. You are just dropping knowledge this morning. This is a great Sunday.
Yep.
All right.
And then after that, what was it? Peter Jackson was given the helms for a Halo movie, and then he was not able to do it. And so he's like, you know what? Instead of the studio's like, what's the next script we got that's very similar? District 12.
Right.
The whole budget for District 12 was from Halo. So,
And dude, that is such an interesting. I did not know that. In District 12, I will say, is people love it. I haven't seen it. I should. It's one of those sci-fi films because I'm a sci-fi guy. It's on my list. And the director, Neil Blomkamp, I'm a big fan of his. He released a couple of shorts with his umbrella and budget. They were wonderful. They were all like proof of concepts. They had high name actors. Sigourney Weaver was in it, one of them. And side note, he was going to do the new Alien. He was going to do Alien, and then him and Ridley Scott kind of became entangled in something where
I was going to say, Ridley Scott was going to give up the helm with Alien.
He wasn't. and so Blomkamp wanted to make a direct sequel, but Ridley Scott wanted to make the prequels. He's on that prequel train. And so whatever happened, and so he got Blomkamp kind of, ixnayed from the Alien franchise. But his script is laying around. The concept art alone got so much traction behind it, because and then that's how everybody wanted him to direct that film. But that's a story for a different day. But Halo is such a tough, and then that's the first example, and we're gonna have a couple of them. That's just such, for me, from what I remember of it, because it has been a while. The story is so layered; it would do great injustice to try to jam it in into a 2-hour and 20-minute window. But you are of the position that maybe web series, or not, I'm sorry, not web series, but like television series might be the best way to kind of bring those stories to life, kind of like when Netflix did for The Witcher. Is that something that maybe Halo could be kind of shoehorned into?
A TV show for Halo might be interesting. I still think it would be better movie because of, like I think. I mean, TV is coming back with like their special effects. I think it's coming back. It's like honestly,
Yeah.
I'm watching a lot more TV, really good TV over movies, because movies just have gone down in my opinion. But I'd love to see Halo turn into a movie. I mean, and you touched on The Witcher. I really cannot wait for season 2 of The Witcher. I think it's gonna be great.
Right.
I think they finally figured out. Oh, we changed some, because they made the first season of Witcher was like kind of how the books were. Like you got a lot of exposition up front and stuff like that too, but you didn't know you were getting a lot of exposition until you move on. You're like, oh, this was all in the past. Okay, interesting. And I don't think that tracked with the audiences that were used to the whole 3 act segment of like a show or a movie, right?
Right.
Which is
Right.
fine, but I mean,
That's
I loved the acting. I loved the action was there, from Witcher and
yeah.
stuff like that
I
too.
agree.
People are so stoked for season 2 to start up. What's it come out this August, right?
I'm not sure when it comes out. I'll you keep going. I'll get you a date here real quick.
But yeah, okay, so Witcher right there. There's another example of a good show that people were interested in stuff like that too. I think I don't, I'm trying to think of another show that was turned in from a video game itself. If you have an idea, let me know. Because I mean,
Well, yeah.
another FPS game that was turned into a movie was Doom, right? It even had a good cast. It had Carl Urban and it had Dwayne the Rock Johnson, but the
Had The
movie
Rock.
kind of
Yeah.
yeah, but the movie kind of sucked in my opinion.
It did. That's the position I have when it comes for that. You asked me a question when we first came on, and again, my caffeine's working a little bit slower. One of the films that I actually enjoyed that was based loosely on a video game was Tomb Raider, and I didn't mind both. Tomb
Which
Raiders.
one?
So I didn't mind the Angelina Jolie version, but the new one, um,
Mm-hmm.
and again, I don't know how because I did not play Tomb Raider, right? I wasn't a Tomb Raider guy. So I don't know how closely that resembled the video game, but as far as characters, because again, I don't know if what they're taking from is accurate from the video game. I enjoyed the character's journey that was in the Tomb Raider that came out a few years ago. So
With
you know,
Vikander and
yeah, and
crap.
Jodie, yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, yeah.
I do know
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Yeah. No, that was not bad. I think that Tomb Raider was more loosely based off of the most recent game that came out a few years before that movie. I was I was not. Man, I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate on YouTube if I say this. Tomb Raider's good. Okay, Tomb Raider is an interesting story. But when you have a developer that makes a video game and all of a sudden the actual protagonist in the video game goes, oh, I hate tombs, then don't be a Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
My God, I was like, what?
Yeah.
my buddy Joe, who was my old roommate back when I used to live with Josh, he used to play that, and I heard it one time. I was like, huh? She said what? Nah, okay. It'd be like Master Chief going, ugh, I hate space.
Yeah. Right? She has a different profession. And there have been successful ones, right? Like Rampage, which again loosely based on the video game.
It's another Dwayne the Rock. It's another Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
And kind of everything he touches kind of goes to gold except for Doom. I'll say that.
Doom sucked.
Rampage is all right, but I mean, did you see Rampage?
Yeah, I did. I watched it because I watched the trailer and Kid Cudi did like a song called Rampage. I was like, okay, I'm in. If Kid Cudi's gonna make music for it, I'll watch it.
Yeah. What'd you think of it?
I liked it. I thought it was good. And also Joe Manganiello was in it too. And I feel like Joe, every single time he tries to do something, it feels like it falls apart. Like he was in it for 5 minutes. I feel bad for the guy because I still wanted to be Deathstroke.
The
But
wolf, right?
he went to go fight the wolf and he got killed in the helicopter. I was like, oh, okay, that was quick. Sorry, bro. Catch you later.
Right. Thanks for that 5 minutes. We'll take that paycheck now.
Yeah.
Sonic did well though. People liked.
I haven't seen that yet. Was it good?
Yeah. I was just gonna say I haven't seen it, but a lot of people liked it. Like,
okay.
It got a sequel, and I heard that Jim Carrey was incredible in it. And,
okay. I have to watch
got
it.
James Marsden in it too.
I remember when it originally was starting though. Like the animation looked horrible.
Oh yeah.
Like they showed the trailer and then it got so much hate from the fans and like people that were watching it and stuff like that too. They're like, what is this? It doesn't even look like a hedgehog. And then they went back and they added the whole eye. Like I think it was weird that Sonic has like one eye, but it's like 2 irises and stuff like that. You notice how like the white goes across his nose and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but then they made him look more. They made him look more like the cartoon. I think they were trying to do the opposite thing that most Hollywood is doing. They're like, okay, we're gonna take this cartoon, but we're gonna make it real, And they tried making him more. The transition from that. They're like, no, give us that. We want what we see.
Well, the familiarity of it too,
Yeah.
right? Like this is the Sonic the Hedgehog that you played when you had your Genesis, when I had my Genesis. You know what I mean? So like, that's it's important to have that because if you're gonna make, if you're gonna make a game that's dated almost 20 years ago, then you have to have it, relevant to then too. So that way, the people that are going to see it, the people you're making it for, will be like, oh yeah, that was the character that we played with back in 1990, whatever. So
It's funny you make that
but
distinction, and we get a Mortal Kombat movie with the main protagonist we have no idea about and who he is and stuff like that, and that's what kind of took me out of the movie.
And so, right, exactly. So, and yeah, we'll talk about Mortal Kombat because we did a whole review on Mortal Kombat, was it a week ago? But I think that's been a decently successful. Again, this isn't my opinion, but the numbers don't lie. Game to film adaptation. You enjoyed it though, right?
I think the reason why it's doing so well is because people were expecting it to be another trash, horrible Mortal Kombat movie, and they were surprised by the fighting a little bit. Because the first 7 minutes of the film were my favorite part, and then
me too.
Jax, the character who played Jax was good. I liked Sonya. Kano blew me out of the water. I thought you took a character I had no interest in the video game originally. I'm like, oh, who cares? It's Kano, right? Laser eye.
Yeah.
But then he was the best character in the whole movie. I was like, okay, cool, because he was making fun of this fact that this stuff is happening in a very out of this world concept of we have to fight these aliens that have superpowers and we're human, And he's like, what?
Yeah.
You have fire fists? What do I get? I have a fire. I'm like, he increased the humanity of it, which I thought was great.
I think that's true. I think you nailed it because he is basically the audience lens. I mean, him and maybe the main fighter, which I didn't like. I didn't like.
No, I didn't like him either.
Never heard of.
No.
Right.
I was expecting him to be possessed by Scorpion or something like that, and then
so did I.
I was like, okay, cool. Sense. I get that. It's family line. He gets possessed by Scorpion. Scorpion's dead, and that's who's his host and stuff like that. Cool. And all of a sudden, the Scorpion just shows up by him touching the knife, and I'm like,
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Arguably the longest running video game franchise that I can think of, and again, I'm sure someone will prove me wrong on the internet here, has been the Resident Evil franchise.
Ooh, you didn't even touch on that. No, yeah.
Well, not yet, because I have I hate it. I'm not just going to come out and say I do not like it.
You hate it?
But
the first one, I really liked the first one. The second one was not that bad either. The second one was more, I feel more closer to the video games than anything. The Raccoon City, I can't talk. Raccoon City, what's it called? When they have to get out of it. They even had, what's-her-face in it instead of...
Jill.
Yeah, they had Jill in it instead of, what's-her-face?
I think it's
Alice. Yeah, they had Jill instead of Alice.
Was it Jill? Damn it! I gotta find this out because I might be wrong. Might not be.
You're the Resident Evil, expert.
I know.
I'm not.
I know.
I'm not. I played a little bit of the video game. Claire, that's it.
Yeah, it's Claire. Claire Redfield.
Claire Redfield. And what's his face? They didn't even have the Redfields until the third movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually liked the characters they picked for them too. I thought they were great. What's his face?
They looked great.
What's his face that played the Redfield brother, I can't remember his name, looks like the video game character.
He looks like the new video game character. He's more stocky and squarish, and he was in that show on Fox.
Prison Break.
Prison Break. Thank you. Yeah, he was. They caught him from there, and that actor has influenced the video games now because it looks exactly. That actor looks like who they modeled the characters after. I think on Resident Evil 5 or
6. Yeah.
5 or 6, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
But dude, what I was going with that was that, and again, I don't like it, but it's been exceptionally successful. I mean, there have been I think 4. There's been 5 of them, I believe, and they've made a shit ton of money. I mean, really, it's kept Mia Jovovich on the map.
Yeah. Even though it's really not about her too much in the video game. In the video games,
it's not about her at all. She's not in the video game. There is no Alice. That's what bothers me so much. And I'm gonna get heated here. Resident Evil is tailor-made for a film.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to do anything to it. It just you have a script, and they could have made some creative changes and taken some creative liberties, but you don't have to change much. It's made to scare people. That's what it was meant to do, and it does that well. So why we're introducing a new character that nobody's heard about?
Right.
And we're taking, you don't need to do that. So, but again, people ate it up because I think that people love to be scared, and that's my opinion of the matter, I think. But at the same time, people who identified with the Resident Evil franchise who kind of just all accept that if it's loosely, there's a licker in the first one, and there's a couple of zombies, but there's a T-virus. It just, and I believe that's why it's getting remade. And I
Okay.
love the fact that that it's remade on like 3 different fronts. There's a film coming out, there's a Netflix series coming out, and there's an animated film coming out. And so I think that Resident Evil is one of those IPs for a video game that translates well to film and to television series and all that stuff. I love the fact that they asked Paul W.S. Anderson, who I believe is, again, I don't know the guy personally. I can only judge him from what he's done, and he is a working Hollywood director. So somebody somewhere likes his stuff, and I don't. I mean, he was the one. He did Event Horizon, which I loved.
I
But
was gonna
other
say
than
that
that,
I know you like that.
I love. By the way, Hulu is making a series based on Event Horizon, or Amazon or Hulu is, and I can't wait. Um, but Paul W. And again, he shares the name with Paul Anderson, who is a very eclectic director. I mean, this director is a big deal.
Mhm.
Of course, I'm blanking on some of the stuff he does, but anyway, Paul W.S. Anderson, I could. He's made his living on making bad films, and I think that putting his wife, because he's married to Mia Jovovich.
I mean, it's got to work. If Nicolas Cage can buy an island, and then lose it to the IRS by doing crappy films.
That's true.
I mean, maybe there's an audience for that I haven't found. So
That's you and I both that matter, and they're making. Did you like the Resident Evil films? Let me just ask you about that because.
Okay, I watched it for the action. If I'm going to be completely honest, I'm watching hot chicks in tight dresses kick ass with guns against zombies.
Guns, yeah.
Which is basically what they gear it toward. I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll watch them. It's not something like I'm like, oh, I have to go to the theaters and watch it. I only felt connected to it when they finally brought in one of my favorite antagonists in video games.
Was it Wesker?
Whisker. Wesker?
Yeah,
Wesker.
Yeah, Wesker.
Yeah, because I thought the guy who they got to play Wesker was freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was great, and especially the first time you actually see him fight is against the Redfield twins.
Yeah.
I mean, Alice is there, but I'm more interested in watching them fight him because they've been like antagonists, and he's all doing the moves and stuff like that too, and something like, oh, this is great. That I was excited for, but I've never been like, oh, I need to go see Resident Evil in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, at least we can kind of feel that.
So, okay. So, I don't think you've answered my question, though. Which is your favorite video game transition to movie, though?
I haven't answered your question yet because I have to. It's really hard for me to dig, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm really. I'm gonna probably say the newest Tomb Raider, because it's getting a sequel. I didn't mind it. If it's on, I'll watch it. But again, I never played Tomb Raider, so I can't tell you how close that is to the video game.
Okay.
That might be why people are like, oh, I love the Resident Evil games. Well, if they never played them, or the Resident Evil movies, if they've never played the games, that's why they like the movies. So, but whatever. What is your favorite video game film adaptation?
Um.
Do you have?
I was hoping you were going to take a lot longer with your answer.
The list is short for me. The list is really short for me.
Oh, what's up, Painkill? Resident Evil movies were okay, some better than others, but definitely nowhere close to a proper game adaptation. What's up?
Absolutely.
Dude, yeah. No, it's true. I would agree. Okay, so for movies, I was not. I liked the new Mortal Kombat. I'm excited to see where they go with it, just because of it. I think I liked it because of what its potential has. Right?
Sure.
For movies, man, I was not prepared for that. I was prepared for my TV show stuff because you were gonna do the movie stuff, and I'm not. Rampage was okay. I wasn't totally blown out of the water because I mean it takes a lot for me to go, oh yeah, from a video game, because you play the video game and it's like reading a book, right? And then watching the book go into movies or TV and being like, what's best, or like, oh, I'm able to see what I can see in my head. But video games, you can see it, right? You're playing it, and more often than not, the animations that you're going to be getting out of the video game are probably going to be 10 times better than the movie sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
That's why I was like really excited with Mortal Kombat. I'm like, okay, cool. You can jump it up to the next level with those fatalities and the fights and stuff. Goodness gracious. No, I'm not going to take the easy way out. I'm going to say, oh, Lord of the Rings, because Lord of the Rings was also a video game, but I think that came after the movies.
It came after them. But those games are great, by the way.
They are, dude. The co-op mode in those games are great. I really liked him a lot.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get our guest on here because I'm actually really excited to get his point of view on with this as well. Let's see. I think. Let me see here.
And you know they're making well, I'm excited about the Uncharted one. Like there are things I'm excited about that are coming up because you know Tom Holland is being Nathan Drake, which I think translates better than Tomb Raider.
You did, yeah. I was gonna say that. That's coming out too.
That's coming out next year, early next year too. And I like Tom Holland in a lot of things, and I think that he, you know, with the budget behind it and Uncharted being such a rich history in video gaming, there's a lot of stuff they can pull from it. You know, it can kind of transition to the next Indiana Jones franchise if they decide to take it there. But I'm really excited to see that one. Like you know, because I was excited to see Assassin's Creed with Fassbender. I love Fassbender. Anything he's in, I'll watch. And
did not like the movie.
No, me neither.
I did not like the movie.
And there's talent there. The lead female who was in Dark Knight Rises, and I can't think of her name right now. She's in it, and I feel bad. And it's, but I was excited to watch that, and it let me down. So I'm cautiously optimistic for this new Uncharted film coming out next year.
So let me say this. I want to introduce our guest right now while we think about our answers. Right. So we've probably kind of opened them up. Painkillers is my favorite movie. Was Silent Hill. I think it's the closest game adaptation. I think he's right. The first one was amazing. They kept the characters near perfect to the game, and the story followed the game pretty closely. It wasn't perfect, but to me, by far, the closest to perfection than any other ones. I would agree. Mike, can you hear us? I haven't been able to hear him yet. I don't know if you can hear me.
Painkiller's right though. Like Silent Hill was a good. Man, I actually liked both Silent Hills. I didn't, but again, I didn't play Silent Hill, so for me, it was just going along for the cinematic ride, and it was cool. Like it looked good. There's another game called The Evil Within.
Check.
Oh,
we got
there
him.
he is. Hey,
We
Mike.
got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had selected the default input.
Oh.
I've actually never used the voice feature in Discord before. So.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I did try. I actually did try chiming in like 10 minutes ago, and I was like, I don't know why this isn't fucking working, and I figured maybe you guys had me like locked out.
No. That's why. Yeah, I
No.
wanted to get him in
because
here.
I saw Sonic in the theater, and actually, like me and my father, we go see movies constantly. Like we had the AMC All Access, and we used to go.
Yeah,
to
me too, man. That's a
week.
great pass.
And literally, the last movie I saw before everything shut down was Sonic.
No way.
You know, it was actually very good, but you know, I then had to think about that movie for like 8 months because it was the last movie we saw.
Oh, that's true. In theaters, yeah.
Great Academy-nominated movies, and then we see this fucking. I mean, like I said, it was fun. But
well, I want to introduce you
to
to Chris here, and of course, any of our listeners now today. This is Mike. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for years. Mike actually is one of the few people that actually has a really good insight into what we're talking about today. He helped create and creates a video game, PC game called Postal. I think, Mike, you're on Postal 6 now? Postal 5 just got made, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, 4.
4? My goodness. Okay. I jumped the gun on that one. My bad.
I mean, to be fair, we've remade games and all this, but yeah, I mean, we've made a lot more than 4 games, but this is the 4th major game.
And coincidentally enough, that video game actually was turned into a movie as well too, which was coincidentally called Going Postal. So, Mike, what is there video games out there that you like that got turned into transition to movies or film, and which one do you think works out better for them?
I mean, so I'm one of those people, like, I don't play as many video games these days as I used to, but I don't take movie adaptations of games overly seriously because I tend to think that while the video game medium has gotten, like, a lot more serious and high budget, for the most part, historically, like, it's kind of always been, you know, it's supposed to be a little janky, like, things are supposed to be, I don't know, lower budget to me, and like Mortal Kombat, I thought it was trash. So, but the games aren't like lore-filled long stories, right? Like it's just a fighting game that there happens to be some a little bit of story around,
right?
And I don't have a problem with that. The problem I had with the movie being as trash as it was is that I didn't even think it was nearly as fun as the original movie. The original movie's trash, but it's fun trash, and it actually was a real tournament with people fighting for something, and this was just like nothing. It was a couple of set pieces. It did start great. That first 7 minutes was awesome,
Right.
And then there was just nothing for the next 2 hours. Some random fights, and no real tournament. And then the whole plot is that they're just trying to like circumvent the tournament by killing all the competitors outside of the tournament. I don't know. I just thought it was such a mess.
Yeah, I
And,
agree. That was a mess. I think we talked a little bit about it last time.
All of the acting, except Kano and Jax was just garbage. Cabal was like the worst thing I've ever seen on film. and it took a long time to get there because it was pretty bad up until that point.
Yeah.
Like, I guess little things bother me, and this isn't what makes it bad, but like Shang Tsung's voice was like this high pitched whiny voice, and you know it's a movie. They could add anything they want to it. Instead, it's just like he's not threatening at all.
Right.
And I don't know. I was not overly excited about it, and then I watched it, and at first I was kind of mad that it wasn't a series because, you know, the good thing with series versus a movie is like it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to make a series that people care about because you have so much more time to give insight into people's minds and thoughts and character development, and it's very hard to make you know, a 90-minute, 2-hour movie where you actually care about anything. But for Mortal Kombat, you know, you don't need a fucking series for that. You can just make a short movie and it will be fun. And I finished the movie going, well, that wasn't that much fun.
Right.
And it kind of took itself too seriously, except the parts where it didn't. And they were eye-rolling to me. Like, when people announced who they were, every one of it was like this like long pan and almost like a drum roll. And it's like, I'm Cabal. I'm Jax. I'm Kung Lao. It's like, okay, yeah, like we know who you are. Okay, move on.
Yeah, we're watching this for a reason.
Ended. I was like, oh, it's over. Yeah, I guess the first scene and the last scene were the only scenes I liked.
Yeah,
that was it. I guess the Goro scene was fine. It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. Like one of the things that we were talking about, I think last week or week before that in our podcast, Chris, we were talking about the fact that if you're going to introduce somebody, make it believably why you're going to introduce them for something that we've watched or enjoyed for a long time.
Sure.
Like Cole Young didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
No. No. They have like hundreds of characters to choose from, and they just created
a new one. Yeah.
And a tiered fighting game is a hard thing to jam into a film, like you said. There is a story to it, but it's like a paragraph after you beat the game that you get if your character kind of. So it's like, how do you filter this in for 12 characters, 24 characters? You know, everybody's got their favorite. A tiered fighting game, in my opinion, is almost impossible to make into a decent film because it just doesn't have the guts for that. So, you know,
like leave the nonsense out and just show us lots of fighting.
Right.
With cheesy one-liners.
That's why people played, right? That's why they came to it.
Yep.
Mike, is there a game? I mean, obviously, you did you play Halo back in the day at some point?
Oddly enough, no.
Really?
I was like this massive 007 player, and I just completely skipped it. I don't know why. I kind of went from, you know, playing a lot of, you know, older Nintendo games and 64 games, and then I just started playing Counter-Strike when I got to college.
Yeah.
And I left console gaming behind for a long time. And for whatever reason, I never picked it back up because, and it's odd because I'm like this huge sci-fi nerd, and Halo's kind of like should touch all those elements of my desire, and I've never played 1 minute of it.
It's crazy. Counter-Strike had a massive following. Like there were tournaments, and that was when I was working at AOL. I don't want to date myself here, but dude, there would be Counter-Strike LAN parties where I was working, and so I know exactly what you're talking about. And so it's interesting because that, I don't know if that could have been turned into a film or not, but I know that when you talk about Halo, you know, in terms of that, you played GoldenEye. Did you ever play Perfect Dark? It was made by Rare, the same company. Bro, that was my jam. I
was gonna say, I don't know if there's a game that Mike hasn't played.
No, there's actually a lot of games I haven't played.
Really?
To be honest, even recently, like I actually. So I've been with my wife about 7 years now, and up until shutdown, she had barely seen me play anything. I mean, she saw me play like GTA 5 and Red Dead. That's it. I mean, really, that truly was it. Like, I'm not. I mean, obviously, I have to play my own game, but
right.
Other than like play testing, like I don't know. The last few years, I just kind of have turned it down. Like I play hockey. I leave the house. If I play video
Nice.
games, I have this bad tendency to not leave the house. But I have
Oh, yeah.
I have picked up gaming again. Like I'm playing Returnal right now, and during shutdown, I actually finished Red Dead. I played Death Stranding. I now finished Cyberpunk. I'm playing some stuff that I didn't over the last few years. So.
A few of those I haven't touched on. Those sound good though. I've always
Those-
been
What?
interested in those. I haven't touched any of those yet. I haven't touched Death Stranding or Cyberpunk, but I've heard really good things.
Death Stranding, I think, would make a cool movie or show. The thing is with Kojima stuff is that you kind of already got it with the game, and you don't know what the fuck happened. So I'm not sure a show would open up any more insight because it would just give him another 5 hours to spew nonsense. But
platform.
It's so fun. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you mentioned the games you mentioned are all really in-depth single-player games, and do you think any of those would translate well? And maybe not just to a film, but to like, let's say a Netflix 10 or 8 episode or 10 episode series.
I don't know. It's funny. As creative as I am, I actually don't have that particular vision. And while I tend to be like overly judgy about these things, I'm not sitting around going, God, I really wish this was a show. I'm just like, oh, that's really terrible. And why the fuck did they choose to do that? I don't know. Like The Witcher. I didn't play the games. Okay, so I went into it not knowing really anything about it, and I really enjoyed it. So I read the books. But to be fair, I did buy the game because I saw it on Steam for like $2.
Yeah.
And I started playing it, but it's definitely not my style of game. So
no, really,
that's
interesting because with art, you like Red Dead, so it's very similar to that kind of engine. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it's just the actual. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's older and it was bothering me. I don't know. I don't have time for the card games and I don't know. It's a little bit too much role playing for me.
I feel you. It definitely is very, very in depth. It's huge. I think what is it like 96 hours for the third game of playing just like the core, just the core campaign. Not if you don't do any side quests and stuff like that.
Yeah, to me, like 40 plus hours is too much for me right now.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, you have to really get. I mean, what is it? Henry Cavill was late for his audition with Zack Snyder to be Superman because he was playing WoW. Oh, that's also another one that I really like too. World of Warcraft. I actually liked the movie. Most people would give me crap for liking it, and I'm like, I don't know what it is, but maybe I didn't play WoW enough to hate it.
I didn't play WoW at all or see the movie. I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, it's just called Warcraft.
Yeah, and it's getting a sequel. Yeah. That's how, because it was huge overseas. And Nate, everybody I've talked to that has seen it has liked it. Like,
really?
I haven't heard. Yeah, it's funny because it gets shit on the reviews or whatnot, but it made a ton of money
in China. Yeah, it was huge.
Well, and it has. They're making a sequel because of that. Pacific Rim can do that too.
It has a higher tomato meter than my movie, so.
That's another thing I wanted.
Tomato meter. We got movies out there too. We're probably ranked lower than that too, so we're all right. We're on the same boat.
Did you have a lot of hand in the Postal movie, Mike? Did you? Did you ever go on set and see them making it?
We did get to go on set, but here's how this story went, and it's. I'm not sure if it was the best choice or the worst choice. So, this is around 2006. We had kind of shut down the office for a while. We had just finished an add-on. It was just me and Vince. And we kept getting an email from some German fan. And he's like, hey, I know Uwe Boll. He wants to make a Postal movie. And, obviously I had just seen the we'll call them films that he had put out before that. I politely deleted the emails. I said, no, this guy's not making Postal. And we kind of kept getting these emails. And then I said to Vince one day, we kind of make crappy games. Like, maybe a crappy movie wouldn't be the worst thing on earth. And so we started talking to Uwe about making the movie. And he's a really nice guy. And he wanted to be super collaborative. Oh, yeah, you guys will be executive producers. You guys can give me your treatment, and we'll work together, blah, blah. And we were like, oh, cool. Now, mind you, like, we're not filmmakers. And we're not cinematic game makers either. But we did spend a good week on like what we saw as a treatment for the movie, and it definitely was not as it was way more serious, way more black humor. And we sent him this treatment, and he basically just like ripped it to shreds and was like, "No, I'm not making that. I'm making a slapstick comedy." We kind of just rolled our eyes and we're like, "All right, have fun." You know, he gave us some money, and he asked if we wanted to be in the movie, and I immediately just said, "Fuck no! I don't want to be in anything that Uwe makes." And Vince did. Vince was like, "Sure." Vince says, "Sure." And I started to have buyer's remorse like maybe a week before I was going on set, right? Like Vince was on set already, and I was like, "Man, I guess I'm not going to have many chances to be in a multi-million-dollar picture." Now, mind you, the movie costs like $20 million. It's not great, but it is a $20 million movie. So I was like, you know what, I do. And by the time I decided I wanted to be in it, was too late. There was nothing to do. You know, they were working with unions and stuff up there, so I couldn't just like drop onto set and be in the movie.
Yeah, I own this thing.
And I went, and I had a good time, and it was interesting. You know, he's not the greatest film director. I'm not sure he knows it, but he does have his own vision. I mean, one of the days I was on set was all the scenes in Little Germany.
Okay.
And, there's one specific scene in the movie where like a bunch of kids get shot, and you know, there was a lineup of parents with their kids there to get their kids in this movie, to get them squibbed on film, and his producer was like, "Uwe, this is not funny."
Oh no!
Like, we're just kind of watching all these kids like fall over bleeding, you know, and Uwe's like, no, you're right, this is not funny. But if we do a montage with music and a ton of kids get killed, it's hilarious. And we kind of all just look at each other like, what the fuck is up with this guy?
So he was just like spinning stuff on set as he went, kind of.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of how he does it. He doesn't really care what anybody else says, and you know, he edits his own films, he writes his own films. He's kind of like, it's the scam, right? He gets paid for each job, and it doesn't matter how they turn out. Although when you talk to him, he actually like he thinks he's misunderstood. I don't know. He's a good guy. I've interviewed him, and we're friendly, but you know, I don't claim we make great games, so sometimes I don't understand people who think they shit gold when it's like, no man, like that's poop. But, and the worst part to me is, you know, he had a huge fund to deal with, right? Like he could have
20 million, yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, he made In the Name of the King, the Dungeon Siege movie, that was $60 million, and there's a lot of really good actors in that movie.
Yeah, Jason Statham, the guy who played Gimli, yeah.
Right. Well, and that movie is the reason Postal never actually came out. Like, that movie trashed his credibility with theaters and with buyers, and with Best Buy, and kind of like it ended up putting Postal like away. And I warned them, but it was actually being released by Universal.
Wow.
And
well, that's great.
They had Postal. Yeah, they had Postal, and they had In the Name of the King. And my big warning to them was, if you release In the Name of the King first, Postal will never come out. And they were like, no, In the Name of the King is his opus. It's his Lord of the Rings. Like, they had this whole like thing that it was gonna turn his reputation around, because it had all these big actors in it, and all it did was actually eliminate him from contention for getting screens. So In the Name of the King came out on 2,000 something screens and bombed, and that was his, you know, 4th or 5th bomb in a row. And Postal ended up coming out on 11 screens. So
oh wow.
Yeah, and we had this huge like college campus tour planned for it, and you know, that's where Postal would have shined, right? Like, it's not a good movie. I'm not here claiming Postal's great, but it's fun and it's stupid, and at the time, movies like that were doing well, like Scary Movie and all those like other offshoot movies they were doing, right? Like, those are not good movies either.
Yeah.
And this would have done just fine with that crowd if it was marketed properly, and it could have been. It just never got to be, and it went straight to DVD, and even there, it didn't have a huge reception, because the buyers at Best Buy were like, we don't really want more of the Bowl movies sitting on the shelves.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, it's gotten, you know, it kind of is in that same space that we are. It's kind of become a cult classic. Like, people still watch it, and they still consider it to be one of Uwe's best movies, because it is. But you know, like, that doesn't mean it's very good. It just means it's better,
right,
than
his
mean film, which is total shit. So
So
Would
you
we like another shot at a film? Yeah.
okay? That was gonna be my follow up question for something like that too, because I mean, if you have
Oh yeah.
4, so yeah.
The guy that played the postal dude in the movie, his name's Zach Ward. I don't know if you know
I do.
his career and what he's done.
Yeah.
He is probably the most bitter about the whole situation because, you know, that was his first real shot at the lead in anything. You know, his career was kind of going up, and he was on the show Titus, and then Titus got canceled, and
No, I remember
he's
watching
done a
this
lot.
kid be the bully in what was it, Christmas Story? One of my dad's
Yeah,
favorite movie.
Christmas Story as a kid.
Yeah.
But he's in a lot of things. He does a lot of things, and he produces and he directs, and he finally got his big shot, and it kind of went nowhere. And he's spent the last 14 years kind of doing a lot of different things, and we've brainstormed a few different times about doing something else because he'd really like to go somewhere with this without Uva.
No, that makes sense. I mean,
and we've even had conversations recently because they have access to a lot of good stuff now, and we're totally for it. Like, we don't want a motion picture. We want kind of a short, you know, maybe 10 episode streaming series where it's not serialized at all. It's just random happenings to the postal dude that can be, you know, whatever, 22 minutes long and funny and violent and irreverent and all that stuff. And, you know, at some point somebody will give us some money for it, but you know, we try to stay relatively hands off because we are not filmmakers. We are not movie script writers.
it's in the name, right? Running with scissors.
And, you know, no. We have a hard enough time. We have a hard enough time finishing our own crap, right? Like,
oh, that's funny, man.
we've got a lot going on with the Postal series.
If anybody plays those games, I voice a lot of the NPCs.
Yeah. Nate does a lot of voices in the game.
Yeah.
Helps us out, so.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 20 years now, so you know, it's good to see that all these properties are starting to get picked up for things like, you know, you guys are talking about Resident Evil, and obviously that's like the most famous video game to movie adaptation. It's had the longest shelf life, for better or for worse. I mean, like, I haven't really played a Resident Evil game since Resident Evil 4. But these movies still keep getting made, and I don't know. I guess.
And people just keep watching them.
Kind of over the whole. Yeah, and I'm personally over the whole zombie thing, right? Like, I watched a lot of Walking Dead, and I don't anymore. And I don't know. I guess there's an infinite shelf life for zombie stuff, and I know the new Resident Evil game came out this weekend, and everybody's loving it. So, you know.
I've heard good things. Chris played it. Chris said he liked it. I haven't played it yet.
I do, but I'm a Resident Evil slut too. I'll play anything that I enjoy being scared. Like, that's no secret. In Dead Space, which was criminally underrated, that was awesome. I think that would make.
Wait, you mean the guy with all those horror posters behind you likes to be scared?
A little bit more.
Yeah, they're all there.
Right. I think there's. I don't think that's ever gonna go away though. I mean, I liked 4.
No.
I mean, you know, in the source material for Resident Evil, there have been a shit ton of films made for it, but like we were saying before, none of it's really touched on the source material, the game material.
Right.
And so, if you played, you know, 1 through 4, then you know, 1 and 2, 3 alone have enough stuff to, and good stuff, I think, if done correctly, to really just kind of put out some decent shit, you know. And I think hopefully we'll get that with Netflix's series, which my understanding is taking place, the majority of it's taking place in the mansion. So we'll see, because the mansion is pretty much everything for the first one. It's really cool, but yeah. So
I haven't played it.
Yeah,
well, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, please.
No, go for it.
No, mine was gonna be off topic, so you're still on topic. Go ahead.
Oh, I actually completely forgot what I was going to say now. Went back and forth. So it's my Sunday morning, right? So.
That's cool, man.
Right. Yeah.
I'm excited. I mean, zombies. Yeah, like you said, zombies, like they never die. And especially in video games, there's so many zombie films. There's like, what is it? Not zombie films, video games. Dead by Daylight, Left 4 Dead. You've got World War Z. You've got, I mean, what is it? Army of Darkness is coming out with Zack Snyder this month as well too, right? On Netflix in the next 2 weeks.
What is it called? Army of Darkness?
Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead. Yeah, that's right. And funny enough, I've got a buddy of mine that actually is the main zombie villain in that movie, so he's going to be guested on our show for that as well too, talking about what it was like working with Dave Bautista and Zack Snyder as well.
Nice.
So that should be a good episode as well. My favorite. Okay, I have your answer, Chris. My favorite film adaptation from a video game. Need for Speed. It's gonna sound weird. It didn't seem like. I mean, that's you know my background. I love Fast and Furious and stuff like that too. But Need for Speed with Aaron Paul,
Pinkman.
yeah, and stuff like that. I really liked that movie. I thought the movie was great, and it wasn't too far. I mean, in Need for Speed, they do some crazy stuff with the cars, right? But you know, the only crazy thing was that they attached the freaking was it the Shelby Mustang to a helicopter, and Kid Cudi flies it off. You know, everything else I liked. I thought it was good. They had like the ending race and made the cops like almost like the NPCs in the game and stuff like that too. That was my favorite one. That's my answer for you.
Yeah. Nah, it's good.
I'm actually just really hoping for a good Dune game at the end of this year. So
Hey, there you go. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Get a good video game out of that. I'd like to see that. Chris, you said Resident Evil, right?
Yeah.
For yours?
Boy, Resident Evil what?
For a video game. That was like one of your favorite video games, but not movies.
Oh my favorite, but not movie.
Not
it's
movie.
a terrible movie series.
Yeah.
Like I
You
will
don't-
stand
you don't like that?
behind. Okay.
Yeah.
No. I don't think so. I think but you know, to go back to the zombies part of it, I agree. I mean, I think the zombie genre creature is kind of dead, but for video games, they're like Nazis. That's why you have so many fucking World War II games. Like they're inherently bad. They're evil. Like you don't have to make them bad. They're just bad, and you can mow down waves of them. So I don't think we'll stop seeing zombies in video games soon. But at the same time, I feel the same way. They are kind of a way overused trope. I also don't watch Walking Dead anymore. But like for video games, if you're gonna mow down a horde of something, it's Nazis or it's zombies. Like that's kind of at least.
hey,
topical.
we made a zombie game back in 2004. Okay.
Okay.
They were mad cow Tourette zombies, but they were.
But
zombies.
they were zombies. Yeah. I
Yep.
got you. I got a new one coming out. Back for Blood. It's the sequel to Left 4 Dead. 4-player couch co-op, I think, or maybe not. Maybe it's 2-player couch.
That's
and, you
4.
know, it's so that they're again. Yeah, you have like the giant from Left 4 Dead, the fat dudes and the witches, and I never played Left 4 Dead. I didn't have an Xbox, so. But I've seen it and it looks great. It's. I get what you're saying. I just know the zombies unfortunately aren't going to go anywhere. I think that's part of it. Just like, the new Call of Duty game, it's going to be in World War II this year. So the zombies and Nazis will never die, and I don't mean that in a complimentary way. So not be misconstrued. Okay,
Since
guys.
being a Nazi is like back in style now, like why don't we just kill more of them?
Right, Mike. Do you have a pick for your favorite video game turned movie?
I don't
Postal.
know, man.
He just said it.
Yeah. Shameless self-promotion. It's gotta be Postal, man. That shit is fucking
Just
awesome.
let me just like shamelessly plug this in here real quick.
I don't know. I don't know. To be honest, I mean, I actually did like the Doom movie, but I wouldn't call it my favorite. I don't think it was amazing. Yeah.
Do you think they do better with TV over movies?
It's hard to say. I mean, like I said, it's easier to make a series now because it gives you time to flush characters out versus a movie, which you don't have much time. But with a video game, there really isn't that much. There isn't too much deep to get in there.
Right.
I don't know. When I was a kid, I liked the Mario Brothers movie, as stupid as that might sound.
I knew somebody was going to touch on that at some point today.
I mean, it's dumb. It really is dumb. But I'd say probably the best one was Sonic, and I say
I have
that
to watch it.
without knowing a lot of I didn't play a lot of Sonic as a kid. I wasn't a Sega guy. I was a Nintendo kid, so I didn't play a lot of it. But the movie was really, really good. And that's recent, so it's kind of like it might be the last one I actually saw. So
Right, you said it was the last one you saw in theaters. I can't even remember the last movie. I saw
not
in
anymore.
theaters.
Not anymore. No, not anymore. I rented a theater to see Tenet last year, and I just went and saw Nobody about a month.
Nobody was great. Nobody was great. It was great.
It was.
I watched it last night.
That's awesome.
Dude, I was not expecting that.
I'm sitting here looking at a list of video game to movie translations, and I'm like, trash.
Yeah.
They're all just crap.
Yep.
And I don't know. I mean, it's because I've seen a lot of them, and I'm just trying to think, like, I guess Resident Evil probably, because while they didn't follow the source material, like, they're just not the worst movies on earth. They're decent, fun movies, and
right. I mean, if we think about another video game that I don't think we touched on to that demographic, Detective Pikachu was not that bad. That was the first Pokemon to movie rendition. I actually like. There was like this one scene with the mime. I laugh every freaking time. I can't tell if it's Ryan Reynolds' voice or the actual motions of the characters, but for an animation plus live action telling of a movie, that was really good.
And it's also the second highest grossing one too. So.
Which is the highest grossing one? Do you know?
Warcraft.
Oh, still that one, yeah. Yep. I liked Warcraft. I thought it was good. I liked it. Had a lot of good actors in there.
I mean, look, Warcraft at the box office grossed $440 million worldwide. Postal worldwide grossed $146,000. So, I mean, which one do you think is better? I don't know. Actually, if you look at this list on Wikipedia, like, it's got the worldwide box offices. There are a bunch that are TBA. Like, there's a bunch that it doesn't know. Yeah. And then at the very bottom is Postal.
I'm looking. Actually, I pulled up the same list that you're looking at right now. I see Postal there, 146,741. Yeah. Oh, Hitman. Great. Hitman's come out with a couple of them too, right? They made 2 Hitman movies.
Yeah. And look at that, In the Name of the King, $13 million. Now, that's significantly better than $146,000, but it cost $60 million to make.
Yeah.
So, not a good job there, Uwe. He actually probably has like 7 of the bottom 9 or something.
Yeah, he looks like he really likes making video game to movie transition.
Did you guys see House of the Dead? He did House of the Dead.
Yeah, that was the first one I saw. Holy fuck, was that bad?
I went to the theater and saw it and left. It was that bad.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't agree more. Like, this dude's name, and again, I don't know him as a person, so I don't want to shit on him that way.
No, you shit on him, man.
But the art that he puts out, the films that he puts out, the product that people pay him money to put out they're not very good. Like, to me, the worst part of it is the people that he gets in his movies. Right? It shows just how shameless some top-notch actors could be when they have holes in their schedule. Because that's how he did it. He wouldn't cast his movie in advance, and like weeks before shooting, he would just find people with a hole in their schedule, and like he got Ben Kingsley to be in fucking Blood Rain, and. I mean, it's like the guy showed up to set and read a line and left. Like, it wasn't like he even cared to be there.
Right, it was like a paycheck at that point.
It's crazy the people that he's got into these films, and it just goes to show you, right? Like, some of these people are legendary actors, but even legendary actors have to give a fuck. And even when they give a fuck, sometimes it takes 10 to 15 takes to get a scene right, and then the guy that's cutting the film has to pick the best scene, right? Like. You could show up and deliver a great performance, but if the guy cutting the movie picks 5 of your bad lines, it's going to look like you didn't give a shit. And Uwe's way of filming was get maybe 2 takes of everything, no playback on set, move on. Right. And, you know, that's not enough for even some great actors to do, right? Like, it takes time, it takes work, and he just didn't care. And we had already signed Postal. Blood Rain came out, and obviously I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go see this in theaters. I'm gonna pay to support the guy, and it was just fucking garbage. And that same week, Grandma's Boy was in theaters, and so I happened to see Grandma's Boy in theaters, which was great. And I tried to take a bunch of friends to see it the next week, but it was gone from theaters already.
Oh no!
It only stayed in theaters for 1 week.
That's a cult classic right there. I love that movie. My wife loves that movie.
Exactly, but it wasn't big. It had no box office. It made nothing, right? And then me, I'm like this game developer. I'm like, you'll have to see this movie. It's like my life. Nothing like my life whatsoever. So there you go. That's my favorite video game to movie adaptation is Grandma's Boy.
Right. Dude, I was gonna say that like I didn't even know they were making a Resident Evil Netflix show until I like looked it up, and yeah, Welcome to Raccoon City. I'm excited to see Uncharted. Even Sonic the Hedgehog's got a sequel coming out in
Yeah,
like
yeah.
2022, and I have a big fan base for this game. I've never played it. I've seen my friends play it. Borderlands is getting its own movie as
Oh
well.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm excited.
The cast list for Borderlands, if you just look at who's been
Super
casted
weird.
for what, yeah, and it's we Jessica's a huge fan of Borderlands, right? So that also is a couch co-op, I think. So it's one of those things we played during quarantine. But dude, it has a rabid following, and it's got cell shading for characters, which is it's a little interesting.
Mhm.
But dude, yeah, it's crazy for sure. So
Yeah. And if it succeeds, that means fucking the dickhead behind it is going to make a bunch of money. So, but that's personal stuff. I don't need. I don't need to set foot in an online battles between devs. So.
yeah. No, man, that's cool. And
We're shit talkers at Running with Scissors. So.
right. But there's got to be some thick skin too when you do that shit, because I mean, in the industry that you're in, or kind of.
Well, you would hope so, right? Like, okay, as a developer, I'm sitting here talk shit about our stuff the whole time, right? Like, we literally wear our 0 out of 10 in computer gaming world as a badge of honor, right? Like, they gave us the first 0 in the history of game reviews back in 2003, and they called us the worst thing ever foisted on the consumer until they packaged syphilis. So,
wow.
we are totally good with that, okay, right? Like, we are totally good with that. I put it on all of my packaging. Like, we trademarked the worst game ever. It's written on our shirts. Like, we know it's tongue in cheek. Obviously, we don't make the worst game ever. It's Postal 2 has lasted the test of time by a lot, right? I still sell 40 to 50,000 copies a month on Steam, and we have a 95% user score. Like, it's not an amazing game, but it's it's lasted the test of time. But I do know people in the industry that can not handle negative press. It's
for sure.
crazy to me how sensitive people are about this shit. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you love everything you play? No.
Right.
And I understand there's people, like, people's careers are on the line here, right? Like, a producer can get fired if a game doesn't get a 90% Metascore.
Sure.
Like, that can happen, right? There are performance-based bonuses. There are literal jobs on the line based on how a game does, even though sometimes it's 500 to 750 people that are responsible for every little thing in that game. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to really compare.